Hi, I'm Lindsey Viducich, and I just had a great conversation with Kim, and we are so excited for you guys to get to hear more about the Amazing Brain Club.
Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here. You are going to be so happy you're here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I write, I speak, I get to do a lot of fun things in life. But my favorite thing to do is to meet people, and I get to meet some amazing, amazing people. And today is no exception to that. Lindsey is with me. I've met her dad several times. Great guy. You may have heard of him before, Bob Goff. Lindsey is the product of an incredible upbringing, I think. We'll hear about it more later and get her take on things, I guess. One thing that I love about Lindsey, we're going to talk about a book that's just come out that is so good you have to buy for kids. But one thing that I love is everywhere I looked online, the very first line was, I love kids, or Lindsey loves kids. Yeah, I was all started with she loves kids. I love that. I love that about her. This is going to be so much fun. Lindsey, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm excited to get into your story and then into the story about how this book came about. And you've done some other writing too. And so we're going to dive into
Mhm.
all of it. But first, I want people to hear about 8-year-old Lindsey.
Oh, 8-year-old Lindsay. That's so sweet. Um, 8-year-old Lindsay was growing up in San Diego with my two brothers, who are still some of my best buddies to this day. Having a really creative and fun and whimsical childhood. I didn't know it at the time, but I was definitely a part of the Amazing Brain Club. I had ADHD as a kid, but then didn't find out about it until I was an adult. So a lot of my work stems from just a love for childhood, a love for the fun and playfulness of that time, a really high value for family, and then getting to share that story with others.
Yeah, so your childhood was normal to you, not normal necessarily to everybody. You had pretty creative parents and pretty very
Yes.
involved and very creative. And one
Yeah.
of the stories, I don't remember, 10 years old or something, your dad took you on a whatever trip you wanted to go on.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that at all?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We had a tradition in our family growing up where the kids got to choose a 10-year-old adventure. And so we got to choose a part of the world that we wanted to go to. I was very into tea parties at that time as a little 10-year-old kid. And I chose to go to London with my dad to have a tea party together. And it was actually really beautiful. We had our little tea party. My dad had a good cry. We cry a lot in my family. So it was the like, I'm so proud of you. You're so grown up. This past summer, we got to take a trip with our kids to Croatia, where my husband's family is from, and on the way stopped in London to have a tea party with my kids, and we invited my parents along. So it was a neat full circle moment to get to take them to tea now that I'm an adult.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. That's so
Yeah.
fun. And it's the place to do have a tea party.
Oh,
Your
yes.
bedroom is great. Your tea house is great. The living room floor is great. But to do
Yeah.
it in London, what a treat. What an incredible treat. They had to be so fun. And
Yeah.
what a great idea. I think that's a great idea for parents
Mhm.
all over. Like the things that maybe I remember as a 10-year-old or somebody else might remember as a 10-year-old. Like you remember playing with your friends. You remember like we couldn't we had to be back in the house in the summer when the street lights went on, so we played
Yeah.
outside all the time. Or, you remember those things.
Yeah.
What an
Yeah.
incredible memory from that time of
Mhm.
being 10. And those are the important moments as a parent. Those are the things that
Yeah.
real gifts to our kids are the memories that we can create with them. And so parents, something to keep in mind, think about creating those incredible memories, whatever they look like. They don't even have to cost money. It can be anything,
Yeah.
but the memories are so important. They have those special times. So that's so cool. So did you
Yeah.
know when you were 10, 11, 12, when you were growing up, did you know what you wanted to do when you were older?
Yes, I was the kid who was always playing teacher as a little kid. And so my poor brothers, they were my first students, and I kept a strict classroom. But I knew from a very, very young age that I really wanted to teach. I really wanted to work with kids. And that thread really stayed throughout, all growing up, going to college. My first job was at a therapeutic childcare in Seattle, and that was a really turning point experience that helped me realize, like, wow, we have to do so much to really meet kids where they are. Each kid's needs are so unique. So that's really where it started. And then from there, went to get my master's in teaching. And then since then, I've taught preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and then switched into school leadership about 6 years ago. So it's been almost 17 years in the classroom, which has been really fun.
Wow, wow. And you look like you're 17, so apparently you started teaching at birth. So
That's generous.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Teaching
Yeah.
has got to be one of the toughest jobs out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
imagine. It's like I think you have to be called to do it because not everybody is equipped to be in a classroom for that many hours with that many kids of
Mhm.
whatever age they happen to be. And so, kudos to you. Thank you for being a teacher. Thank you for doing that job. That's
Oh,
amazing. How did your, so you said you had ADHD as a kid and didn't even
yeah.
know it. How
Yeah.
did it affect you as a kid?
So I've learned as an adult that my version of ADHD is the inattentive type. So somebody who has a really rich inner world going on, also disordered attention. So it's not that I can't pay attention to things, it's that I could get sucked into something for hours and blink and be like, where did the time go? Like that is often what happens to me. Um, but then the other amazing people in my life who have ADHD, it looks very differently, can manifest in, really high energy, really creative ideas. And so that's what it looked like when I was a kid, and look back and understand it more now. And then as an adult have learned to really embrace and celebrate it, even in even in our marriage. I am married to the most wonderful, patient man in the world, and he is an engineer. So he works like very focused, very ordered, and I will get sucked into a task that is probably not the top of the priority list, and then need to use timers to, jump from thing to thing. So the days that we're working at home together, it's hilarious. He like will start something from, the beginning and see it through and can sit for 5 hours, and I'm all over the place with my little timers going off everywhere.
That is so funny. I have to say, I'm so happy to hear exactly what you just had to say, because that's the kind of ADHD I have as well, is I can
Mm.
hyper focus. And man,
Yes.
when I do, I'm getting it done. I'm doing
Yeah.
it. But I
Yeah.
can be on one thing for hours and I have no idea where the time is gone.
Mhm.
And there's probably six other things I should be doing, but I'm
Yeah.
so focused on this one that it's hard to get away from it. And
Mhm.
setting timers is genius. That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
I learned that extremely recently. Yeah, I'm in my 60s, and I just learned from my granddaughter, who's a freshman at the University of Michigan, that
Mhm.
your brain should only work on one thing for so long. And so she sets
Mhm.
timers for studying and then takes a break, like a 10-minute break, 15-minute break, brain break,
Yeah.
does something completely different and goes back to it. And I found that when I do that, I really am more productive. Do you
Mm.
find
Yeah.
that at all?
Oh, absolutely. It's so interesting how that works. Where really, if we have that strength space perspective, like I don't think that's a bad thing that I work that way. I think it's a superpower that I can get really sucked into something that catches my interest. And I talk about that in the book too. Like I could be a submarine diving deep or a train on the tracks, like the kid-friendly analogies for that. And then my husband will just, he stays focused on one thing at a time. And we've learned to really appreciate that about each other and really respect, like, there's there are so many strengths in how every brain operates. And so learning how to work with our brain's wiring instead of seeing it as a problem it's a subtle shift, but it's a really important one.
Yeah, I think that that's a lot of it is really understanding. If you
Mhm.
understand how you may think different than somebody else, then something that may have been frustrating to them, now that they understand you, may
Yeah.
not be frustrating anymore, and vice versa. So
Mhm.
understanding is key, so important. So like a book like yours is so good because there are kids that are neurodivergent. There are kids
Yeah.
that have ADHD or they have something else where we think a brain should look this certain way and function this certain way. And really,
Mhm.
education is made for that brain, right? A classroom setting is made for that brain. So many things
Yeah.
are made for that particular brain, but that's
Mhm.
not everybody's brain. And so,
Right.
what do you see like in a classroom? Are there changes like as there's more and more awareness of neurodivergence? Are there changes being made in classrooms? Are there things that people can look to do to help their kids or themselves?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And I think that there's so much more awareness now, in the education world and in families where people realize, oh, there isn't just one type of brain, right? Like they're all, every brain is part of this club. And we were so intentional in creating the illustrations for the book too, because I wanted to give kids an analogy for what is a neurotypical brain like and what is a neurodivergent brain like. But I didn't want it to be like, here's a brain that organizes like a file cabinet and the illustration's gray and serious. Like I wanted it to all feel like a celebration, you know? And I think that that's something that teachers are really aware of now. And I know something that I've done a lot with teachers in the context of professional development is talking about how important our language is with kids, how important our framing is, because the words that we use will become kids' inner voice. So even in prep leading up to parent-teacher conferences, you could have a child, for example, who's yelling out in class a lot, blurting and that the impulsivity, right, that comes with the ADHD. But we need to frame it when we're talking with the child as you are a gifted public speaker. You are so confident and you are so willing to share your ideas, and that is fantastic. There are a lot of people who are really nervous to do that, but we need to channel that superpower and then fill in the blank with here are the strategies that we need to do. Here's how we can use that power to its best. But always, always having our premise be that you have an incredible strength. You may be showing the immature version right now, but you have an incredible strength that we get to cultivate together.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
I think one thing that we've done as a society, parents, I don't know, whoever,
Yeah.
is we tell kids what they're doing is wrong. We kind of steal
Mhm.
away their imagination or steal
Mhm.
away their giftings and try to put them inside a box and say, stop daydreaming and that picture that you drew, you'll never be an artist, or you'll
Right.
never be a writer, whatever it is, the words that kind of stick with us that we go,
Mhm.
well, we can't do that. We were told we can't. So
Right.
we think we can't, right? And
Mhm.
there's this movement, I feel like, to get back to imagination and back to play that
Yeah.
has kind of been taken away from us. But I'd
Yes.
love for you to talk about the importance of that.
Oh, play is so important with kids. I think a lot of times we lose sight of the fact that children have been here a very short amount of time. I like to remind myself when I'm working with kids how recently they learned to walk. Like we will approach kids like, why don't you have self-control? Why are you getting out of your seat? Why can't you remember this? Then you're like, oh, they only learned to walk 3 years ago. Like we need to, as an adult, check ourselves and say, well, have we actually slowed down and gone through the steps of here is how you do this? And play is such an awesome way to practice that. The making space for imagination and creativity, that's where kids get to try on empathy for size in a safe way because it's like a stuffed animal or a doll. But that's how, when they're acting things out, or when we're bringing our little stuffy with us to the doctor's office and having the stuffy go first for the checkup, like it's using the way that kids naturally act and think and operate in the world as a way to connect with them. So I often do that as a mom. That is a strategy we do very, very often in our house is talking through what to expect, what comes next, and now we're going to play pretend act this out. And then that just fits, that awareness of child's developmental levels and how important that is to meet them where they are.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Reminding yourself how long ago they learned to walk, that they really haven't been around that long.
Yes.
That makes so much
Yes.
sense. We expect a
Mhm.
lot from kids. And especially if they're a little taller than the average kid, man, we expect a lot from that kid, right? We
Yeah,
think, oh, he must
yeah.
be 14 and he's a 9-year-old or whatever. It's like, no, let a
Mhm.
9-year-old be a 9-year-old, let kids play and let them imagine. And then because I know so many adults that that's not part of their world anymore. Like they're
Right.
they have a hard time even thinking about using their imagination on something. And
Mhm.
because they were told that it was a bad thing, that
Mhm.
like the stop daydreaming, however that is told to a kid. It's like, well, daydreaming's a good thing. Like using your imagination is such
Absolutely.
a good thing that if there's ways to encourage it in kids and encourage it in adults, like
Mhm.
that's a healthy thing. That's where things get made and developed and invented and enjoyed. Those are the big moments, living in the creative space instead of just the read the book and follow the instruction space, right?
Yes, yes. Oh, absolutely. And I compare it a lot to when I'm talking with teachers and parents I work with, and, even with my own children, like a monster truck that's in the mud where its wheels are spinning really, really fast and there's mud going everywhere. It's it's like that when a kid has all this bottled up energy and creativity, but no place to put it. And so it's like we're giving them traction on something, like we're getting like let's give forward movement, and then there's something so beautiful that happens in kids when they feel like, oh, I have a way to use my strengths. I know what my strengths are, that can help give them that direction and purpose, and bring kind of a calm and focus is really helpful.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And go back to it. I mean, there's some things that are available now as adults, like painting parties and things that,
Mhm.
people that haven't bought paints for years or haven't drawn or haven't, I don't know, played on a playground or whatever, just the stuff that you enjoyed as a kid, you may still enjoy as an adult. And so kind of let yourself do it, like let yourself play while you play with your kids. And in my case, my grandkids.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, but it's so fun. And to think about that, that we should be allowing it and encouraging it and setting up places for kids to do it. One thing, Lindsay, first of all, thank you to your brothers for playing teacher so that you were able to go down that path.
they were great
Uh,
students. Yep.
that's so good. And you've been teaching for really many more years than
Yeah.
what you say, because at 8 years old, you had a classroom. So
Exactly.
anyway, but I like that you have touched lives of kids, not just in the United States. And so
Oh,
I'd love to hear about what you're doing with kids outside the country. And then I'd also love to hear your take on what the difference is and is not between kids here and Uganda or Israel or wherever it is you're
mm,
working.
hmm You know what's so neat is that really recently I got to connect with a teacher in Uganda, actually through my husband's work. And she is doing these incredible things in this school with problem-based learning. And that's something that is gaining popularity and I hope becomes more popular in school, where kids are engaged in these real world projects and they're, building and creating things in their classrooms. And it's so neat to see how universal things are with childhood, but especially when you connect with educators around the world, we're all facing the same things. We all want our children to be fed and clothed and have everything they need. We also want our kids to learn and engage in these real world projects. So I think there's a lot that's just really universal in that. So I've really enjoyed that part is connecting with other teachers and sharing resources with them, across the world. Like, hey, we're all working towards the same goal here. So that's been really neat to see.
Yeah, well, and education is so important, and
Mhm.
I run a nonprofit and have been to many schools in many different countries, and
Mm.
one thing that I've noticed, I'm curious if you have, is that we tend to take education for granted. Like I believe in the United
Mm.
States, there's a seat for every kid who wants to be in school. Like we've done a good job of creating seats for everybody. They're not always the same seat, but they're seats in a classroom.
Mhm.
Whereas in other countries, it's like a privilege to go to school. Like if you can go to school,
Yeah.
it's great and it's not taken for granted. Kids understand that there is a whole bunch of kids that are not going to see a classroom, and so I've known so many kids who really look at school differently than a lot of the kids that I've known here look at school. Do you see that?
Hmm. That is definitely a reality. We're so fortunate to have access to school that's, free and available for kids here in our country. One project that I did when I was in the classroom, that our other teachers at our school are continuing now that I've stepped out of the classroom, is a problem-based learning unit where our students started their own marketplace. And that's a pretty like classic second grade project is you have your own business and you're selling items and learning how economics works. That's a second grade standard in most states. But for the kids at our school, we did a little twist on it and we said, what if we learn about these organizations and kids in other countries and how they go to school, how they take care of their families, how their families support themselves, and we can make a donation and buy a cow for a family in another country. And the kids were so excited. And we made it a high stakes project, right? We had the kids actually apply for loans from the school. They had to meet with a member of the leadership team to do an interview and get approval for their loan. They had to show all their math to prove that if we sell this many items in our store, we'll be able to pay back your loan. And it's so neat seeing the kids so invested in this, but then also realizing like, I can actually be an agent of change in the world. I can go and help a family in another country. But then also on the flip side, to make sure that what we're teaching kids is look at how incredible and resourceful these families in other countries are, that we all agree that education is important, that helping our families is important, that everybody having enough food to eat and being able to go to school is important. So that was a highlight for me when I was in the classroom and being a teacher. Is just getting to see how meaningful it is to introduce kids to that international perspective. And now I get to be one of the loan officers now that I'm out of the classroom and conduct our very serious loan interviews and hear the, next group of kids share about their ideas. But it's just so neat. It's such a privilege to be the adult in kids' lives who get to introduce them to the world and help them have that awareness that there is a world beyond their experience, but that even as kids, they can make a really big impact on the world.
I love that. I love your take on it.
Mm.
It's a nice twist because I've known I don't know, like I remember a granddaughter being involved in a project and they raised all this money and then it's like, well, we made all this money, however they got the money. But then
Sure.
what do we do with the money? And so they had
Mhm.
to come up with then what do we do with the money? And I love the idea of a cow for a family. Like that
Yeah.
can be the livelihood for a family is owning a cow
Mhm.
to take care of
Mhm.
a family. And so what an incredible thing. And what a wonderful thing to introduce kids to. I kind of feel like
Um,
the earlier you can teach kids to give and the joy, the absolute joy of giving, the better, right? Where then it just becomes a natural thing instead of something forced on them later or, whatever, however it happens. But um, because there's a childlike wanting to give. I think we're born with that wanting to help, wanting to give, wanting to serve. That
Mhm.
if we don't do it though, it's almost like a muscle we're not flexing. And so
Mhm.
to do that in second grade and to see the joy that comes out of them and being able to do that is incredible. I love that. I love that you do it. And I love that they're still doing it. Like that is so
Yeah.
cool. That is so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so cool. Yeah. And I think ultimately, too, everybody wants to feel needed in the world, right? Like, I have something really important to offer the world. The students have something important to offer the world. And that was what I was hoping in this book, too, is that kids would hear that message so clearly that there is a whole body of Christ and you are part of it. And that includes the brains of Christ. But as we're teaching our kids, we want them to understand that they have purpose and value here. Even as children, they can make really positive change in the world.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and another point that I think comes out strong in your book is that we're all individual.
Yeah.
And and like sometimes I think about like the Mona Lisa, like if it ever went up for sale, how much money would Elon Musk or somebody with a whole lot of money pay for it, right? Like millions and millions,
Yeah.
because it's a one of a kind masterpiece. And so are
Mhm.
you. Like each of us are created in his image and we are all unique. Nobody ever exactly like us. Nobody ever will be exactly like us. We are a one of a kind masterpiece created by the master. And for
Mhm.
kids to understand, you don't have to be like somebody else. You are you. You get to be you. You just that's all you have to be. That's your only job. Just be you. And
Mhm.
and to have the freedom to be who they are and not try to be something else, but it's okay. The way
Mhm.
you're created is perfect for you. It's just right for you. I love it that that comes through in your book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was the hope because I there's a really fine line that I really wanted to hold and hopefully do a really good job at is describing those moments that are tricky and hard too, because I didn't want to overlook that there are things that can be really challenging living with ADHD, like the really big feelings that happen or moments where you feel maybe out of control or it's hard to remember things. And so I compared it to a firework, like that our kids are like fireworks, that there may be moments where you pop and fizzle and boom and there's an explosion. But there's another part of what fireworks do is that they are going to light up everything around them. They're going to make everybody see the world differently. And that has absolutely been my experience as a parent and as a teacher, where the first question I've learned to ask myself is, as I'm trying to support a child, is what is this teaching me? What do I need to change? And I think I have grown so much because of the children in my life who have, ADHD or autism or both, or, these beautiful neurodiverse kids in our lives, and just acknowledging and celebrating, yes, there are really hard parts that come with that, but also look at how you are going to light up the world around you and kind of be like a little call to action in your little self, to inspire others around you to grow and change too.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. One thing I'm curious about is so you're a teacher or you were a teacher before you were a mom
Yeah. Yeah.
and so you're working with kids. You
Hmm.
become a mom, it's like this whole blast of world comes running at you the second that child is born, right? Like nothing
Yes.
will ever be the same again. There's no,
Uh-huh.
you can't put them back. You can't,
Yep.
you're not going to give them away. There they are. And everything changes. It just
Yeah.
disrupts in the best way everything about your life. And
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't prepare for it. I remember before my first child was born, my first one was a daughter. I've got 5 kids, and
Mhm.
I have one daughter and 4 sons. Yeah. What do you
Oh,
have, boys, girls?
I have one boy and one girl.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
God bless you. I only had one girl. The boys were so much easier. I don't know your experience, but my
Oh.
daughter took about as much time as all 4 of my sons together, I think. But I love her to death. But anyway, but I
Aw.
just remember the second she was born that I had this overwhelming love that I never felt before. And I just thought, did
Mhm.
my mom love me like this? Like, does every mom love their child like this? Like, it's just
Yes.
so overwhelming, right? And so people try to prepare. Oh, just wait. And you're like, ah, I already love the baby, or oh, I've babysat. I know how to take care of kids, and then they're your own, and it changes everything. So,
Yes.
how did it change? Did it change anything about like the way you looked at students in a classroom, the way you taught? Were your expectations, did you have big expectations, or did you just kind of wait to see what was going to happen with the kids? Or were your expectations
Mhm.
met? Like what were what was the before and after for you, I guess?
Oh, that is a great question. I can say I was the perfect mom before I became a parent. I rolled in so cocky because I was like, hey, I know everything about kids. I'm going to be great at this. And then it's so humbling when you have, these beautiful children who are in your care and you're like, whoa, this does not fit anything I expected. This how surprising it is that so much is outside of your control. Like there's it's very humbling. So as a teacher, I like pre having kids, I loved my students, like and still do, love my students. There's a whole other layer of compassion that comes with being a parent and a teacher that I wish I had had those first few years in the classroom, because now I know I am absolute tissue paper when it comes to my kids. Like, I love them more than air. And if there's something that is going wrong with one of my children, like it affects everything. You love them so much. It's so hard. And so that has changed a ton and has been part of my conversations with teachers who don't have kids yet, is saying like, hey, I know you love this child so much. Going into this conversation with this parent, I need you to know like this is how this will be received as a parent. And so there's a line in the book where I talk about, the firework moments and but then go to when there are times that I feel like I am too much. I remember, like, here's how God sees me. I can't read that line out loud in the book when I'm reading to my children without getting teary. It's so weird. Like my own words, but that is a layer that's been added to me as a teacher that I don't think that I had before. That's that like knowing that you love these kids more than anything in the world as your children, and then other people also feel that way about their kids too. And I've also really clung on to that phrase, like they are all our kids, right? There's a different protectiveness. I believed that before when I was, teaching before having my kids. Now I feel equally as passionate. Like I want my children to have everything that they need and new shoes when they need them and snacks at school and all of those wonderful things. I want that for other people's children too. So I'm going to take meaningful steps in my life to like be on the lookout for that. So there's just an extra sensitivity, I think, that comes that makes you a better parent and a better educator to just when you get to have the honor of having both hats on.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Because it has to change your perspective. And
Mhm.
I can tell you, I coached for a lot of years, 25 years. I coached basketball, varsity volleyball.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I had kids play sports.
Yeah.
And I had to hold back so many
Mhm.
times when I wanted to go to a coach and say, why isn't my daughter playing? Or why did you tell her she's going in and then you took her out? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, as a parent, it's just such a different feeling. And trying not to be the parent that thinks your kid's the best, realizing there's
Mhm.
kids that are better, whatever, trying not to be one of those parents that think that your kid
Mhm.
is the only one, the best kid that should be in all the time or should be getting all the A's or whatever, but they're a kid just like
Mhm.
all the other kids. But it can be so difficult. How
Mhm.
is it with you and talking to your kids' teachers? Is that ever a thing?
Man, we have been so fortunate. Our kids have had absolutely incredible teachers. Like I could gush and go on and on. They're amazing. One thing that's been fun for me to do, having taught for so many years and now being a parent, is thinking through the things that would have meant a lot to me as a teacher, in partnering with parents and then doing those things. So I have my go-to, like beginning of the year, like, hey, we are a team. It doesn't matter if you call me, if you call my husband, we are here to support you. And we are here, like, we are on, the same side for our kids. So just know you are always going to have a nice parent answering the phone if there's anything that you need from us. And then also doing things for teachers, like, I will send thank you emails to my kids' teachers and always copy the directors of the schools they're in, because that's just what a great thing to do. Like Teacher Appreciation Week, publicly praising and affirming teachers, and for kids to see that, like for our to model in front of our children, like we are so thankful for these other adults in your life, and we are on the same team with them. We appreciate them, we support them. And that's been a neat thing to shift and has been really fun to do, is thinking with that filter of how can I support and partner with my child's teacher the way that I really loved being supported when I was a classroom teacher.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
How great is that? I mean, to be on both sides, I think,
Hmm.
man, there can't be anything better. I've had parents of players that are just ready for something to go wrong. They're just like waiting for me to say something wrong or do something wrong. They're just their guard is up with all the teachers and with everybody in their life. And it's like, man, what has happened to you in your life that has
Right.
created this for you? Why? Where's the safety gone for you? Like, is there a
Mhm.
moment when your kid was hurt and that was it? Like from then on, you had to just super
Right.
protect or what? But
Mhm.
it can be hard to sort of retrain and reframe for people and say, hey, you might have had a bad experience before, but that's not me. You might have had a
Right.
parent that you called
Right.
before and they yelled at you on the phone, or like on the movie that I love, It's a Wonderful Life, where he calls and yells
Mhm.
because Juju's flower petals, whatever she got to, and there
Yeah.
can be, those moments. And man, to instead be a partner and realize that each teacher is going to be different and
Mhm.
the classroom's going to be different because it's
Mhm.
composed of different kids than it was last year, the year
Yeah.
before. So take this new year and go into it with the right attitude with your kids,
Mhm.
excitement, and partner with the teacher. I love that. I love that that's
Mhm.
the attitude. And I love the copy. Yes, copy the
Yes,
administrator.
it
My
takes
word.
no money and barely any time and is so high impact. I love that every parent should do that. It's
Every
awesome.
parent. Oh, 100%. I mean, now
Yeah.
you're on the other end of thing. You're in administration, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful to get those. That
Oh,
right?
oh,
It's
I
got to be.
love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you want to
amazing.
know how your teachers are doing. You want to
Mhm.
know, and I would think sometimes the administrators are the last to know if somebody's having an issue, and so it's
Mhm.
like, man, don't wait for that. Don't have the issues. Like figure stuff out. Be supportive of each other, and then let the
Mhm.
administrator know. Man, I love this teacher. My kid loves this teacher. This teacher
Mhm.
did this special thing today that was just above and beyond, whatever it is, because teachers are doing stuff
Yeah.
all the time that are above and beyond. I've got
Mhm.
cousins and friends who are teachers that are using their own money to decorate their classrooms or their own money to buy special prizes
Mhm.
for the kids in the classroom or whatever.
Yeah.
Like teachers aren't just it's not just a job like this 9 to 5 putting widgets together.
No.
It
Yeah.
is much more than that. And it's not 8 hours a day. It's so much more than that. And you take it
Mhm.
home with you and you take those kids home with you, even not physically, but of course. And if anything's going on with anybody or, whatever, like it is you need a break in the summer. Like teachers need to breathe for a minute, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever.
So it's a great job. And that's something that I really hope. I think my go-to because I was a teacher and I'm now a mom. Anytime there's something that comes up that's an important life conversation, I am immediately going to go search for books. Like that is just my knee-jerk reaction. Also, my favorite present to give my kids' teachers are books. Like teachers just love it so much. Um, but when I went to go look for books about ADHD, what I was finding were all of these really wonderful books that were about regulation strategies or organization or what to do with big feelings. And that's all really, really important. I own those books too. But there weren't really any books that were like, a theology of neurodiversity, which sounds big, but just like well, but how do we teach our kids about this in the context of faith, So I really hope that this helps make teachers' jobs easier in a way, like teachers who are in, Christian schools that I taught at for the first few years, just knowing how much freedom you have to bring resources into your classroom for that Bible time of the day or the morning meeting time of the day and set a tone. And just hoping that that helps make teachers' jobs easier in some way because they're balancing so much. So teachers and parents, like here's just a quality resource that you can use to hopefully help facilitate some really important conversations.
Yeah, well, I know it's obviously it's faith-based and there's Jesus throughout the book and there's lots
Yeah.
of faith and theology in it. But I
Mhm.
think that parents that aren't Christians still would get a lot out of this book
Mhm.
and learn a lot from the book.
Mhm.
And so I don't
Mhm.
think it's I mean it is so great that it's faith-based. I love that about it,
Yeah.
but it really
Yeah.
is for everybody. It really is a book that everybody should read. And you talk about how easy it is to send a book or give a book or what it means for someone to get a book. My word, all you have to do these days is know the address and you put it
Right.
on Amazon. You don't have to go to the post office.
It's
You
so
don't have to do it.
easy.
It's so easy.
Yes.
So everybody, don't buy just one. Buy for your teachers, buy for yourself, buy for your
Mhm.
neighbors, your friends, your sisters,
Mhm.
your brothers, your sister-in-laws, your nieces, nephews, whoever. Get this
Yeah.
book and send it to somebody because what a gift. You think about the cost of it. It's a low cost. It's a low cost, wonderful, incredible gift to give. And how
Mhm.
fun is it to get a book in the mail? And as a parent or a
Yeah.
teacher, how much
Yeah.
more fun to get a kid's book in the mail, right?
Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. What's been really touching though is as some early reviews have come in, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, my husband loves this book." Like it's the grown-ups who are loving it too. So I'm like, "Oh, who are the grown-ups in your life who also need to hear this message of, affirmation and encouragement?" So hopefully that's been a pleasant surprise. I didn't, my intended audience was the kids, but I didn't realize how much it would land with grown-ups too. So hopefully it's a healing message for grown-ups also.
Yeah, oh, it absolutely is. I'm so glad that you mentioned that because there is
Yeah.
no doubt about it. I mean, like
Mhm.
people my age, people younger, I mean, like you said really early on, we're
Yeah.
learning more and more all the time and
Mhm.
understanding more and more all the time. And you
Mhm.
mentioned it's like a superpower. I think of my ADHD as a superpower. And
Yeah.
and so for kids these days to be hearing that and understand that, but for adults to go, all these years when people have been trying to tell you there's something wrong with you, like this is a bad
Yes.
thing, and it's a kink in
Yeah.
the armor, like it's a strike against you, to hear, no, it's not. It's just how you're created. It's how you're made. And
Yeah.
that's special. However it is you're made, it's special and it's one of a kind. And so I can see where, yes, it would be so healing for adults. There's probably way, way, way more adults in the world that have never heard that than have.
Mm-hmm,
So yes,
mm-hmm.
I can totally see how and someone would say, my husband loves it, or my wife loves it, or whatever. It's so good. So
Yes.
yeah, so as you're
Yes.
sending out books, think of those people in mind as well. That it's a,
Mhm.
and really for people who don't like to read, it's a pretty quick one. So if you have
It's
adults,
about 800 words. It's
uh,
not too much.
not too much. So yeah, so if you're thinking, but he doesn't like to read it, it doesn't matter because this book
Uh-huh.
he'll get through quickly. And I cried actually when I read the book. I have to say, yes,
Oh.
I did. I have a son who's autistic. I've got a grandson who's autistic. There's a lot of ADHD in my
Mhm.
family,
Mhm.
and I don't know, for years dealing with teachers with my own kids, and
Mhm.
well, they're not fitting in. I hear things like that.
Yeah.
Well, they're not like the other kids, or they not fitting in, or they're too active, or the words that you hear when you have kids
Mhm.
that aren't the kids that are in the box, that are in the pretty little box with the bow on it, but
Right.
we're outside of that. And so yeah, so I thought, man, what a beautiful thing to tell kids and adults that it's not wrong, it's not bad, it's
Mhm.
just different, and
Yes.
it's what makes you you. It's your
Yeah.
uniqueness. And so I love that. I just love that you did this whole project. It's so good. Yeah.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah. So what else have you heard about the book, or what do you recommend? Like, are schools buying books? Are they should be, but
Oh, I
um,
hope so. I hope
so
so.
true.
So far,
Yeah.
I've only heard from individuals, like just their feedback. One very sweet thing I've seen with the children in my lives is that they will get distracted by the illustrations in a good way. Like they'll read the paragraph and then get lost on the page looking at all the details and like forget to turn to the next page. But that was part of the hope too. And the illustrator did an amazing job. There's just so many little details throughout where there are children with mobility aids or hearing aids or fidgets or like untied shoelaces, like subtle little clues that, this might be a child with ADHD on the page. So the goal was to have as many children see themselves in the page as possible and to have the illustrations reflect as much as possible the experience of living with ADHD in a really positive way. So one of my favorite pages talks about how there are so many ideas and incredible idea factory things that come out when you have ADHD. And there's a picture that shows a kid making a Rube Goldberg machine that has, Operation Cereal with getting a cereal bowl filled. And it's so messy with like abandoned ideas all over the place and drawings taped up on the wall, but it's presented in such a happy way. It's very whimsical, and very relatable with lots of things that kids would hopefully recognize from their homes or classrooms, all throughout the book.
Yeah, yeah, and you're absolutely right. It is beautifully illustrated, and the pages are so
Mhm.
fun. I could
Yeah,
I could see a kid getting lost in a page, which also
yeah.
makes it one of those books that kids are going to read over and over and over and pick up all the time,
Mhm.
and just look at and read and be part of over and over and get lost in over and over. And so that's so cool. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. I would think another thing the book would do would be to help kids who are not ADHD have a better understanding of kids who
Oh, yeah.
are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was something that was really intentional in how we presented this is that we didn't want it to be here's the Amazing Brain Club, meaning only kids with ADHD. It's the Amazing Brain Club is in we are all part of this club. Everyone in the world was made by God with a unique brain wiring, and that's something to celebrate. But it does really show the experience too. There's one page that just gives examples of a child forgetting their homework or knocking something over on accident or losing things. And it shows that these are the hard parts. So I didn't want to gloss over that and have it just be everything's rainbows and sunshines. It's like, no, there are things that are really hard about living with ADHD, but we just can't lose sight of the incredible strengths that come with it. So I really hope that that gives kids who are neurotypical, who maybe don't have, these same challenges, feel a lot of compassion and understanding, and just that everybody, instead of asking the question, what's wrong with you? It's what's right with you? What are all the things that I could celebrate? And kids are they're like sponges. They're going to take cues from us as the grown-ups, and they will repeat the things we say. So, what an honor to get this book into the hands of grown-ups who can read it to their kids, and then hopefully their kids are taking this perspective into the classroom. And one very cute thing happened when I dropped off the book at a local preschool here, is that the director of the preschool told me that it sparked a conversation in the classroom where this room of 4-year-olds is all saying like, "Oh, I like the file cabinet brain," or "I like the confetti brain." Like kids are
Huh?
seeing themselves in the pages, and it's giving them some vocabulary to describe how their brain works. But if we can give kids that kind of language, I think they're going to be a lot more curious and compassionate when it comes to their classmates or siblings or kids on their soccer team, and just realize that everybody's wired differently, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And yeah, so for kids to understand other kids, how
Hmm.
important is that? To realize no, there's nothing wrong with them. It's not a bad thing. It's just who they
Yeah,
are. And
yeah,
you maybe things just work differently for them and you learn to adjust. You learn the things that work different and at the same time, they can learn what's different about you and
yeah.
and
Yeah.
work within that. And so I would think even like it'd be a great book for siblings,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And in families, just that you can celebrate for every family member. Here's the unique thing that you bring to our family and your classroom and the world. Like, that's what a beautiful conversation to have at the dinner table. It's like, what's your superpower? Like, how does your brain work? And using that as a really positive teaching moment in a family is awesome.
yeah, well, and what a difference between what we have had for years, which is kind of nothing, and in so many
Yeah.
families, kind of nothing, and so
Mhm.
then siblings just getting frustrated with each other,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah, which is a very real thing. Like that's, it's hard enough to like be a bunch of people living in one house and have a sibling, and that's a really special relationship. And so hopefully it's a tool to facilitate those conversations where there's more compassion and more openness and more understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
yes, the way we should be, the way we should
Yeah.
be anyway. But
Yes,
right,
yes. But it
yeah,
can be hard to get there without the right tools. So hopefully this is just another tool in family's toolbox to come back to.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, so
Mhm.
true. Yes, yeah. Thank you so much for doing this project. And what, where, when did you decide to do it, and how long did it take you? Like, what was your process in doing this?
It was a longer process than I thought it would be. The idea started maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and then started working on it with the amazing people at Zonder Kids, maybe about 2 years ago. And at the time, it felt like it's not going to be out until April 2026. That feels so far in the future. But there are so many incredible people on that team who do so many layers of the process, like the from marketing to illustration and the art department. And it's really cool to see the whole team come together to make the book and then share it with others. So it's been about 2 years in earnest of building out this specific book. And then, the years beforehand where the ideas kind of simmering.
Yeah, yeah. So it must feel so good that when
Yeah.
April 2026 seems so far away, that here is
Yeah.
April 2026. And it's such an
Yes.
incredible thing. Because it's such a process. It's so much
Mhm.
more. There's so much more to it than you think there's ever
Mhm.
possibly going to be to it. But that's why they're the professionals. That's why they're the ones
Yes.
doing that part of the
Yes.
job. And it's nice you don't
And
have
so
to do
talented.
that part of the job. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've all been just so And everyone who has worked on this book or touched any part of this book has been so genuinely enthusiastic and kind and collaborative. It's like getting to live out the things that are talked about in the book in real time with the people who are making it. It's just so beautiful to see that all play out.
Oh, that's so cool. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Sonder Kids was so excited to be doing the book and so happy to be doing it. That
Mm-hmm.
makes it so much more fun when they're rooting you on and they're like, yes, we're going to do this. And it's, it is a team. It takes a team. You can't
Yeah.
do it by yourself. It's amazing. But
Yeah.
yes, but what a gift to the world. And so I'm, again, just so grateful that you did it and that you didn't let time work against you. So if you have
Yeah.
advice for people with the book, how to read the book, are there, tips, tricks, anything that you want to share along that way?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, it can be found wherever books are sold, on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all that good stuff. I would recommend give extra time to read it because my experience reading it with kids is that they really wanted to talk about all of the illustrations. It was really sweet, like pointing out things that they recognized or wanted to make connections to. So I think taking that time as a family to really read the words, but read the pictures together. Um, I had one child I read the book to, got to the part where it shows about, a firework exploding and it's a little kid in a classroom and paint's flying everywhere to show, one of those trickier moments. And he got all serious and he went, yeah, that's what it's like. And it was really like so touching and beautiful that it was a safe space for him to share that with me. And so allowing time to don't finish the book all in one sitting. Like let kids share about, their personal connections as they're reading it. So I hope that leads to some really meaningful conversations in families.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you recommend it more as a family read or what about in the classroom?
Oh, it would be awesome in the classroom. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think I've seen kids who are like 4 and older can really track with it, and would lead to such a great community conversation in a classroom, just talking about what are your superpowers? What are things we can do when we do feel like a firework that's exploding? What are questions we can ask? What are our positive, strategies that we can put into place? Just so many my teacher brain would be like, we are going to go picture by picture in this book. We're going to spread it out over a week and we're going to look at, a different page every day and invite kids to make their personal connections to it. So I would definitely recommend that teachers use it in the classroom too.
Yeah, good. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, any parting, we're at the end of our time. This has flown
Mhm.
by because you're so fun to talk to, and this subject is so
Oh,
important. And so, thank you so much. You're a great guest. Anything you want to that you haven't talked about that you'd like to tell people?
oh, thank you. I think it's really just my hope for kids and for adults is that they walk away with that truth that their brain is not a mistake, that it was intentionally designed, and that the way that each person sees the world and the gifts we each bring to the world teach us more about who God is. So thank goodness we have so much diversity in how we are all made, because without that diversity, we wouldn't know more about God and about his, hope for the world, and that everybody has, their unique perspective and something that they are going to do to make the world a better place. So I hope everyone leaves encouraged with that.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Great note to end on. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, Lindsay. I so appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Likewise. Thanks so much for taking the time this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for watching this. If you know somebody, and I'm sure you do, who could really use a listen to this episode, please pass it on. Buy the book, buy the book, buy the book, not just for yourself. Buy one for yourself, but send it to people. Think of people that you can send it to. Send it to a whole classroom and whatever you want to do. But realize the value of this. It's so important. And so send them this message on and send the book on. And thank you so much for tuning in today and watching us. And I just want to say that until we see each other again, I just pray that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud.